Okay everyone, welcome to another live Flatcap interview. I'm here with the boys from Convict Class who well, they look fresh and healthy after probably being on the piss last night in Glenelg, but we're going to have a chat with them about some of their adventures in the UK and what's happening with the band. But as usual, I'll get them to introduce themselves to you first. So if you want to start at the end there.
Yeah, I'm Shane, or Stengun, lead singer of Convict Class, the one that keeps all these boys in order. I'm the sensible one in the band.
Oh Mel, I'm the drummer. I sit at the back and make some noise and just hit things because I like hitting things.
Yeah, I'm Shane and I'm the bass player.
Ben, I pretend to play guitar.
Eaton, don't be modest.
Okay, so when we get bands on, we usually start with I guess the first question is how did the band form and when did it form?
Well, we started probably 8 years ago now. Me and Benny started jamming together. We became friends through karate because I trained with his wife. So I got to know Ben and we were just talking shit one day and said we should have a jam in the shed. So we started jamming, just had a couple of sessions. Yeah, I'm shit on the drums, so he's actually good on guitar, so it sort of worked out alright.
Yeah.
Then Shane came along, we got him in twanging the bass strings for a little while, and we probably jammed for about 5 years just in the shed, just fucking around, no intention of ever doing anything serious. And we got to the point where we sort of got a bit going on, got a few riffs, got a few tunes happening, and we sort of thought we probably should put some lyrics to these and actually like make a band out of it.
Yeah.
Between us, I knew Shane through a couple of work things. Benny met Shane, Shane had met Shane, so, and his name came up a couple of times, so we thought we'll get him along, see if he wants to try singing, which he still can't do. But yeah, he joined in and it all sort of happened from there.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, the first rehearsal, well, we kind of knew by the end of it was like, oh, okay, this works.
You all enjoyed it, had a good
We started
time.
off doing, like, because obviously, you know, the boys had a body of work already there, but no lyrics. So we, what did we start? We did Warhead, Tomorrow's Girls.
Yeah, a couple of covers just to get us in the
Wasted
feel
Life.
of it, yep.
Yeah.
Wasted Life by SLF. So we just worked on a few covers to make me feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And then we started recording those songs that the boys had, and then, you know, I'd go home over the week and start putting lyrics to it. So it gave us a really good head start to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
So from when we first started at the end of COVID, which was like October 21, you know, it was June 22 was our first gig. You know, it was probably really rough and ready, but, you know, we had to start at some point. And yeah, since then, you know, I think we're up to, you know, basically in 2 years, I think we had what, 50 gigs.
Oh, yeah, some of
So
them.
we're
easy.
for a regional
God knows how
band.
many festivals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for a regional band, that's, you know, we were very busy, you know, and doing lots of travel. So yeah, it's been an interesting ride so
Yeah,
far.
that's the problem with being from a regional town. All the gigs are out of town.
And everything's
Yeah,
2
yeah.
hours plus away.
Yeah.
But then after 2 years of gigging, we got the opportunity to play at Rebellion, and that was just unheard of. And that was an amazing experience, getting overseas.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, we'd only been gigging 2 years, we were still relatively new on the scene,
Yeah.
and here we are playing in the UK at the world's biggest punk festival.
Yeah. So how
Fantastic.
did that come about? The rebellion?
Yeah, well, it's a funny story. Like we were only 12. Oh yeah.
I'm sure there's plenty of Aussie bands out there that are probably interested in how you
Yeah,
actually got
yeah.
the
Yeah.
gig at Rebellion, I suppose.
So the way Rebellion works is, yeah, obviously, you know, I don't know the full intricacies of it, but you know, that they are looking for new bands because at the end of the day, they want Rebellion to remain.
Yeah.
And with a lot of the older bands at the end of their time,
Yeah.
they need to get these new bands in. So at the end of 22, we applied for the introducing stage, which is where most people start at Rebellion. Really great initiative to give new bands an opportunity to play at a big festival. We unfortunately missed out, and then going back, it was just after Rebellion finished, so it was around August, September 23. I sent an email through just saying, you know, look, we were unsuccessful last year, we're going to apply again this year. Is there anything that we can do? You know, is there anything from our application that, you know, we need to work on? And then we got an email response not long after saying, send us through some music, blah, blah, blah. So we did that. And then I was sitting on the lounge one night and got a message from the Rebellion organiser saying, you know, would you be interested in playing Rebellion in 2024? And before we kind of already discussed if it ever happened, we'd do it. So without even asking the boys, I said, yeah, we're in.
We're in.
And I knew we would be anyway when we'd make it work. The funny thing was, we were thinking maybe someone was in our corner and someone was, you know, over in England saying, you know, you really got to give this band a chance. And then when we got over there, I actually asked and his partner Ruth, you know, why us? You know, why we get this really cool opportunity? And you know, like I said, we thought there was someone actually, you know, putting a good word in for us, but there wasn't. It was essentially, he liked our sound, he liked what we were doing in Australia, and he'd been monitoring us, and he just said, you've got it off your own merit. There was no one in the corner.
Yeah, that's a
so
big
that
plus.
was, and the funny thing is, a lot of people think that, you know, there was some special ingredient that you need to get on there. That special ingredient is, and like I say to people, it's not just about the music. You've got to be, and I'm not saying we are the complete package because we're not, but you've got to be able to sell yourself. You've got to be a proactive band. You've got to be busy. But you've got to have the music to back it up, because at the end of the day, they're not going to bring bands over that aren't going to appeal to their crowd.
That's it.
And as well as that, when we play live, for anyone that's seen us, it's like saying you've got to have the music. But my belief has always been, and I'm sure most bands out there have the same view on things. When you play on stage, when you play live to an audience, doesn't matter if there's 3 people there or 3,000 people there. Every time you play, you put in 100% into your performance. Because if you're not, you may as well not bother. You shouldn't be doing it.
You've got to look like you want to be there. You've got to look like you want to be there. Enjoying it as well, haven't you? Because
100%.
that feeds into the crowd.
It was, you know, I've been to Rebellion, Al's been there, and then, you know, we went as a band. You know, you watch a lot of the bands there, and it's not that they're not enjoying it and they're not putting on a show, but we just do. When we played there, we did what we did. And the common feedback, even from the shows leading up to Rebellion in the UK, was, you know, punters were coming up to us and saying, you know, you can tell you really love what you do, and you can, and it shows on stage. And you know, I think we don't try to put on any type of front. We just we love punk rock. We're not doing this for money. Enjoy it. And it's, you know, and it obviously shows on stage. And the genuine nature of us all, I think, you know, we had a lot of people coming up to us after we'd play, and they'd say, God, I can't believe how genuine you guys are. Like, you're just, you know, you can tell, 1, you love it, 2, that you're genuine and you're just passionate about punk rock.
Yeah. Well, it's a privilege to play in front of people.
Absolutely.
You know? And on a stage like that, you know, there'll be so many people there that probably hadn't heard of you before Rebellion. Took a punt, let's go and see these guys, and you come away with extra followers and stuff like that.
Well, we thought we'd be on the introduction stage, but they put us straight onto the arena. It's got 1,000 capacity. 10 minutes before we came on, they'd locked the doors because it was already full, and there was still 200 people outside trying to get in.
How good's that?
So that just tells you something. So
that's such a buzz.
It's a really humbling experience when you've played to pubs in Australia with 20, 30 people in, and then you walk out on stage at this festival, and you can just see between the lights, because there's all these bright lights in your face being on stage, and there's 1,000 people out of there packed just like waiting for you to play. It's a really humbling experience.
It effed my nerves over when they said, the door's locked, we're at capacity. I'm like, oh God, now I've got to perform.
I suppose apart from the nerves and that, I mean, why wouldn't you go out and enjoy that anyway? All them people coming to see you, you'd be like,
So I'll never get nervous before a play, never. I get excitement,
nervous.
positive energy,
Well, that's
never
the
get
adrenaline
nervous.
rush,
Yeah.
isn't it?
My view is, what's the worst can happen? I'll drop a drumstick.
Yeah.
I can soon pick up another one.
Yeah. So
the other
Yeah, I'm
thing
the opposite too. Yeah, if it goes south, it's like, oh God, no.
but you know what? You can fuck up on stage.
I fuck up every time I play.
But
Oh.
them people out there, you'll
Yeah.
rectify that mistake in
100%.
in split seconds.
Yep, absolutely.
Right? They don't know.
No.
Even if-
I
even
just
if
look
the-
at him, and then
Yeah.
as long as I can catch up on the beat,
Yeah.
it'll be fine.
Right, well,
it'll work it out.
obviously I film live gigs.
Yep.
And I can't tell when people fuck up because I'm concentrating on
Yeah.
this until I look back at it.
Yeah.
And then I'll see one of the band members go, as if to say, what the hell have you done there, man?
that's the look I usually
That's-
give Ben.
Yeah.
So,
At Rebellion, somebody when we got off stage walked up to me and said, yeah, definitely can tell you're the metalhead in the band. And I said, oh, and I thought it was because of me jacket. And he said, no, because you made a mistake and then you had that frustrated look on your face. And I was frustrated because, I hate making mistakes.
yeah, Benny's
Yeah,
a perfectionist in the band.
Well, I was just going to
But
say.
you can tell by the way he plays.
And
the
look,
is
the-
a perfectionist.
It's punk
We need
rock
that.
at the end of the day. I don't mind. It's warts and all with punk, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, look,
And it can be as rough and ready as you
Yeah.
like. It's all part of what it's about.
Exactly.
I get a little bit clever for me boots and write shit and then go, oh, I have to play this live, and it's really quite challenging.
I think, look, I'm a consumer as well as lucky enough to be in a band, and being a consumer, and I've said this to the boys, like when we released our, it was never meant to be released. We released our Demolition. Demolition was just a name that we threw out because we didn't want to call it demo.
Yeah.
So that demo was planned. We recorded it, send it out to people and get our music out. But when we got it back, we thought this is good enough to throw on Spotify.
Yeah.
And bearing in mind, he's recorded in someone's shed
Yeah.
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 in a back garden in Koroit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember vividly saying to the lads, I actually like our own shit.
Yeah.
Obviously you write music that resonates with yourself. But I said to him, and I've said it a million times, I'd actually buy our stuff.
Yeah.
So to
I
me,
have.
and that's not being big-headed.
My condolences.
We have as well because we have to pay for our own shit.
Well, that's the only way we get sales.
We can't afford to give it
We've got-
ourselves free.
We've got 50 copies of our album each.
My
Yeah.
mum's got 3 of them.
I say to the young lads and girls that we interview and what have you and that, you've got to enjoy what you're doing, and it doesn't matter what everybody else thinks as long as you enjoy it,
Yeah.
because you're doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
I said the bonus is when other people come along for the ride with you.
Yep, absolutely.
You know?
That's
That's
the best
the
memories
bonus.
I've got. Like, I mean, Rebellion, fantastic, and the other gigs we've played every gig's unique, and you walk away with great memories. But the things that I really remember about those is the people you meet.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds wanky and whatever,
No,
but
not at all.
through our band, we've met so many people that will become lifelong friends, and people that have joined our journey. Like you said, one of the more recent things that and it might not seem a lot to a lot of people, but I was talking to Barry about it last night.
Yeah.
Rob Clayton, shout out to you, Rob. But a train driver over in England, never heard of us, seen us at Rebellion. Fell in love with us, and then on his last day of serving 40 plus years in the rail service in the UK, wanted to honour us by wearing our beanie. Now, really simple gesture, but he was so proud of that fact to send us the photo and the messages, and so we put a post up on Facebook thanking him because the honour was all ours.
Yeah.
And I actually, wanky as it is, I do get a bit emotional there because I think.
Yeah.
When you really sit there and digest that, you go, fuck, like there's a bloke in this world that on his last day of
On
work,
the other side of the world.
wanted to honour us, and you go, fuck, I'll take that any day of the week over a bit of money.
Look, music's memories and that as well.
Yeah,
so
it is.
he had a time with you guys,
Yeah.
and he must have had the best of time, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? And that will stick with him. And that's what music does.
And I think everybody goes through that. You go somewhere, you see a band you've never seen before, and you walk away and go, "Oh my God, I love that band." And then it becomes part of your life. It's you know, another record in your collection that you look back fondly on.
Yeah.
But you guys also do the right thing as well, because you're accessible to the people.
Well, you got to be, yeah.
You get once you finish playing, you go and talk to the people, and I think that's a massive plus for people that have just
we're no
paid
different than
money
anyone else.
to come and see you.
Yeah.
I think you're actually happy
When I
to
remember
go
bands
and
back in the day
have
with
a
the same.
beer and chat and
So UK, as an example, UK subs years ago. I remember as a 19-year-old lad going to see the UK subs at Retford Porterhouse, and I'm totally in awe of Charlie Harper and the boys. And because I played in the band in the UK years ago, we knew where the dressing rooms were and shit like that. So me and my mate Scott, we sneaked past the security, up the stairs and into the dressing room. And there's Charlie Harper laid out on the couch, towel over his face, and we've just burst into his dressing room. And he was cool as shit.
Yeah,
He just took the
he's
towel
a
off.
great
He goes,
bloke.
"Create a beer in the corner, lads. Grab yourselves a beer, sit down, let's have a chat." And it seems like that you remember.
Yeah.
And ever since, I've always been a UK subs lifelong fan.
he's a great person.
Awesome man, yeah.
Great bloke.
Yeah, and you know, I've always held him in high esteem, but it wasn't until I went to Rebellion in 22 as a punter when I actually seen how revered he was in the punk community.
Yeah.
I always thought he was, upper echelon, but you go over there and they call him the God.
Yeah,
The
just
Godfather.
so approachable.
He can't give his fans, and this is an 80-year-old man that stands at his own merch tent with his wife.
I do know he doesn't drink like
No.
most people have got photos with him, and he'll always grab a pint from somewhere. It looks
Yeah.
like he's got a beer, but I don't think he actually drinks that much.
Yeah.
But, he's
Well, when I met him, he was having a cup of tea.
He's just a true gentleman, old school punk, true gentleman.
Yeah.
So when you did Rebellion, but off the back of Rebellion as well, you also had a little sort of mini tour of the UK with Convict Killers, I think.
Convict Killers, Rust.
So how did who sort of got that all going to get all them Aussie bands in one place? Is
Before
pretty good as well.
before we could announce. So we played with Rust in about June, July 23. Three shows in
three nights,
Victoria.
didn't we?
And I was talking to Gary at that point, and Gary had already had said to me, he'd made contact with Rebellion, and they were going back in 24. And I said, hopefully we can get there. We've sent an email. So at that point we didn't know. But it wasn't long after that when we got the email back saying, we're interested, send your music through. And anyway, so leading up to that, and this is the hard part, when you're a new band going over for the first time, we would have loved to have done more shows, but the issue we had, a lot of these venues are booked out 12 months in advance. So we had to kind of ride off the back of what Gary was doing. So we were lucky enough for Gary to add us and the Convict Killers to the Bristol show.
Nice.
But we already had another show lined up with Roy Delaney from Chaotic Discord. So Roy does booking at a venue there in Bristol. So he had us on there, but then he was talking to another promoter, John Murray from Death and Glory, and he said, look, I'm putting on a show the same night with Rust. How about we turn that into the Aussie Invasion? And that's where it kind of stemmed from. So that was, it all turned out really well. Belgium was really weird. We got announced on the Rebellion lineup, and the following morning I was driving to work and was getting a flurry of messages. So when I got to work, I checked my phone, and it was Geordie Dooms from Doom Punk Bookings in Belgium. He really wanted us to go there, and it wasn't really our intention, but we thought, look, let's just test the water. We'll do a show over there, see how it goes. And it was a great experience to do that. But we're already planning to go back to the UK next year, and the good thing is we've got time on our side now, so
Sort out.
the plan's at least a 10-date tour. Hopefully we can add a couple more into that. Already in discussions with venues, promoters and bands, so things are falling into place really well.
Nice.
And that's still 18 months away, but we've got to be planning that far ahead to make it work.
And it'd be good while we're over there to try and get into Germany and do a few
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
over there.
well,
Yeah.
It's big in Germany, the boxing
yeah.
and that, so.
Yeah.
Right, I'm just going to hold it there,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to do part 2 in a second.
Sounds good.
Alright, part 2. The name Convict Class. What's the story behind it? Which one of you are convicts? Or all of you
May I
convicts?
take this one, Steno?
You
Well,
mate.
let's see if you get it right, but yeah, go on.
So there was a little bit of a gag during rehearsals that I would say that I'm pretty sure that one of my relatives stole spoons at some point, and that's how we ended up here, and then it sort of went on from there.
Well, it was actually Wall came
No,
up.
our quasi manager came up with the name.
Because we all came up with, so
Yeah.
long story short, we all suggested names, we voted on them, at the end of the day they were all shit. And we picked one, we weren't really happy with any of them because they were all crap, but then actually our manager / Wall came up with the Convict Class. As soon as he mentioned it, we're all like, fuck yeah, that's the one.
So
he just straight away.
He said, essentially, I was talking to him on the phone for a fair while, like I normally do, and we were talking about band names and said, we just can't come up with one that we all kind of resonate with. And he goes, look, at the end of the day, you're an Aussie punk band. Come up with an Aussie name. He said, all the Poms call us convicts, and that's where it's
Yeah.
yeah.
So the minute we looked to put it together with a logo, and it's like, you'll appreciate this, you've been around bands long enough.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that will get your name out there, and one of them is your logo.
Yeah.
You probably, we've all at some
Yeah.
point walked into a record shop, seen an album cover, seen a band logo, and thought, shit, I don't know what it's going to sound like, but I'm going to buy it anyway.
Yeah.
And it just so happens the logo we've come up with, people notice it. Like when we played Rebellion, alright?
Yeah.
And without blowing our own trumpet, there were people that came to see us in the arena that had never ever heard of us, and the only reason they came in to watch us was because they'd seen so many Convict Class t-shirts walking around Rebellion, and they said, geez, these guys must be alright, there's few people walking around
Everybody's
the
got
logo.
shirts on. So
So the logo helps, it really does.
People were coming up, because there was a lot of Aussies that already had our shirts that went to Rebellion that were walking around, and they come up to us and they go, you'd be surprised how many people came up and said, where can I buy that shirt?
Yeah.
They just love the design. So, and on the day that we played, we set our merch up, we went down, we were ready to get on stage, and we'd already discussed, as soon as we finished, we've got to get straight up to the merch desk and sell our merch. Anyway, so finished, said a few thank yous, went straight up the merch thing, and he goes under the name Wild Cockney, but Mal, one of our mates from England, he goes, don't worry fellas, I've sold it all. So 70 shirts, I think at that point
before we even
probably
finished playing.
Yeah.
70 shirts were sold.
How good's that?
So it was £2,500 sitting in a tub, because we didn't have a card reader, so it was all cash. And jokingly we all got together backstage and had the tub and went,
Filthy Luke.
filthy Luke, but I mean, look, so
there's good promo there from somebody if they're watching this, though, isn't there? If you can do it, get 100 t-shirts, just bang them out to whoever's there, and people see it and think, far out, these must be alright.
That's it.
Well, when we had so many people lining up that missed out on our merch, and when we got home, we got lots of messages as well. So we decided to, put a call out. If you want one of our Rebellion shirts, inbox us, we'll organise it. So we knew that postage was really expensive, so we did it at cost. So the cost price of the shirt plus the postage to try and keep the price down. But we sold another 90 odd. After
and
we got back.
We do put thought into the shirts. They're not just slapped together. They're strategic. I can't even freaking say the word. They're put together in a fashion where it does stand out.
Yes.
100%.
Well,
it's representing the band, so they obviously look good and they pulled people in. If they'd have looked shit, people probably wouldn't have come in. So you have to do.
At Rebellion, you've got thousands of people walking around with thousands of different shirts
that's
on.
right.
So you've got to have a marketing edge. Simple as that. Marketing.
And the funny thing was, the back of the Rebellion shirt that we came up with was really basic. Map of England, map of Australia, a tall ship coming down, and the plane going back. But we had the broad arrows doing the movements, and that basically came from my love of Dad's Army.
Yeah.
So the intro to Dad's Army, you know,
Yeah.
the arrows pushing across and then
where
back.
they're all doing. Yeah.
So yeah, you know, and we went to our the guy in Warrnambool, Lockie, that does our graphic design, and we just said, look, here's our idea.
Yeah.
He goes, oh, that's easy.
Got
That
it
one.
together for you.
Anyway, we thought, you know, if we sell, you know, we were really nervous before we went over because we got them made in England to pick up. And we thought, oh, you know, how are they going to sell? You know, we'll only get 70 because you know, if in the end, if we don't sell them,
We're going to be carrying
more.
50 on with us.
Yeah.
And then to sell out like we did, it was kind of like, oh damn, we should have had more. But
Yeah,
anyway.
but hindsight's great.
Thank you
isn't it?
everybody at Rebellion that bought a shirt. We didn't have to
Thank
make
you
a
very
money.
much.
Thank you.
Okay, let's have a little chat about the music. So there's an album out there already. I presume that's gone
Generation
down.
Discontent.
Yeah. Tell us about that and what's going on, like in the future. So your first album's out. What's the plan heading forward for Convict
I'll shut up
Class?
for a while.
Well, the first album, Generation of Discontent, we're all really happy with it. Like we were talking to you earlier, the first demo we did was in a shed. We got to the point where we were going to do an album, so we'll record it properly. We went with a guy called Jason in Melbourne, Jason Fuller.
Jason Fuller of Goat Sound.
Hell of a good sound engineer.
Yeah.
Been in bands himself. He knows the sort of heavy music sound, and we just gelled with him straight away.
Yeah.
All the time we were recording, he's giving us ideas. Try this, lads. Try this. And he's just a wealth of knowledge.
Busted my fucking balls while
But-
trying to record.
Yeah. But without him, honestly, I don't think we'd have quite the sound we've got.
You need your balls
Yeah.
busted though.
No, I fucking
But
don't.
look, the whole album was recorded in 2 weekends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
So I went there on a Friday night, drove back on a Sunday, 2 weekends. We put down 12 tracks, and absolutely delighted with the result.
Is it is it still available in what formats? Because you can probably do it downloads and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
we've
being old school myself.
We've tossed around doing a second pressing. So the first pressing we had 200 splatter vinyl. I think we've got about 30 left.
Yeah.
So we're tossing around whether we do a second pressing or not. But we have got it still available on vinyl, on CD. We weren't really interested in doing CD, but then there was a market for it, and they've sold really well.
Yeah.
So
We sold out. We did 100 for England, and they were all gone.
yeah,
And so we didn't because we had them made in England. We didn't have any to bring home with us, which we'd expected we would. So we did
That's good.
extra. We
Yeah.
chucked a few extra tracks on that version.
Yeah.
yeah,
I've got a CD player in my car. I play them.
yeah.
So do you.
You're in the shed.
You know.
Yeah.
It's,
So that's still available.
Yep.
And what's the plan going forward then? So you must be sort of thinking, right, let's get some
Well, we're working on
music
new
in.
tracks at the minute. We've got a few that we're not going to give it away, but we'll unleash a few tonight and we'll play live that people will have never heard before. So I've got a few tracks already in the bank. Between the band, we've got a lot of lyrics in the bank and a lot of stuff that we're putting together.
Yeah.
The plan always was for this year, because we had a really hard year last year and the year before gigging. We were flat out, absolutely flat out. And we needed to get a bit of a name out there for
Yeah, get
ourselves.
the momentum going.
Yeah,
and
this
everything.
year was always going to be, we'd back off a little bit on the live, we'd do a few more interstate gigs, like obviously tonight we're here in Adelaide,
Yeah.
in May we're going over to the Gold Coast, and in July we're heading over to Sydney. And that was always the plan, and in the background, because we're gigging less this year, we're working on new material, and the plan is probably late this year, the second half of the year, we'll be back at the studio, record an album, maybe put down 15 tracks and pick the 12 best.
Yeah.
And that'll be hopefully for release early in 2026. And then the plan will be 2026, we get back on the road and we gig with that new album.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
So we mentioned earlier we're already working on the UK tour, but we also want to be able to, whether it's early in the year or when we come back from England, but definitely do the capital cities again in Australia. So Perth always, we would love to get to Perth, and we've had a lot of interest from Perth. The problem with Perth is the sheer distance and the cost.
Yeah.
So if there's anyone out there that wants to shout us a trip, go ahead.
I'm not sure, but obviously, having come from the UK, Perth is normally the cheapest place to fly,
Mm.
from what I've been told. So maybe when you're finished in the UK, if you've got the
Come home
time,
via Perth.
crack straight into your Aussie tour, but
Yeah,
start
yeah,
in Perth, Adelaide, whatever. And because I see so many bands, that we're quite lucky here in the fact that we tend to get the start of a tour or the end of a tour.
Yeah.
But sometimes they'll come here and then they'll flick over to Perth and then they'll fly to Brisbane, and I'm thinking,
That
why
don't make
are you
sense.
flying
Yeah,
across
yeah.
a continent? Why
Yeah.
don't you start at one side? I mean, obviously it's probably down to venues and stuff like that, but logically thinking, you know, if you're flying in from overseas, let's get to the closest, cheapest place to get to that is probably Perth from the UK, Adelaide, Melbourne, you're going Canberra, Sydney, Brisbane,
Yeah,
off you go.
yeah,
Or fly to New Zealand and go back that way.
yeah,
But they
yeah.
very rarely do that.
Mm.
And, you know, like you've said, tours are booked so far in advance, you'd think, well, surely you can sort that out so it works.
Yeah.
But they don't. It's like, boom, 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 and you think,
Yeah, I
it
don't-
is what it is, I guess.
I mean-
They've been doing it long enough, these promoters.
The
and-
promoters obviously have some
Tools
sort of
and that.
methodology that they use.
Yeah.
I've questioned the same thing, but yeah, obviously
Yeah.
that's their bread and butter.
I guess they've probably got their hands tied, and that's why it
Yeah.
happens like that.
See, certainly with bigger bands, I would imagine, and again, I don't know, I've never been a promoter, but I would imagine with bigger bands, a lot of it where they're using equipment and stage setups,
Yeah.
the cost of getting that across an
Yeah.
Warrnambool.
Mm.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're sort of here, you're more central, it's drivable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, the logistics is the issue.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just
probably.
yeah.
Is, yeah.
yeah. And look,
So-
we're all parents. We're all parents. We're all got full-time jobs.
Yeah.
So you
yeah.
know, when we do these tours, well, you know, there'd be nothing better than go, all right, well, we're going to spend the next 2 weeks touring around Australia, but realistically, our aim is to do a weekend here, and then it could be another month, and then do a
another
weekend there.
Yeah.
Well, being from Warrnambool, where, you know, you've got to remember, we don't just get off a plane.
No, you've
And
got
we've
to
also
drive.
got another 4 hours
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
drive. And,
Yeah.
So you like we're going to film the gig tonight. So you've got some new tunes that you're going to play
We
tonight.
have.
So you realise they'll probably be up on YouTube in a few weeks.
Well, it
time,
might be a
so-
bit rough, but we'll do
Well,
our
that's
best.
what I
They're
was
gonna
just
be
going to
fucking rough,
say. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
We've been
there's
practicing.
no big reveal. We're
No.
happy for
yeah, happy
that.
for it to go up.
No,
because-
no, more than happy. Look,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, we won't be recording these tracks till later in the year, like
Yeah,
I said. But you know, if you come see us live, you're going to get these new tracks, and
Yeah.
we're really keen to get some new music out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially Benny.
If you're
Yeah.
not in a band, it may look very simple from that perspective. But if you're in a band, you know what it's like. It gets hard. The more you tour, the less you're writing new material, the less you're jamming, and we're sort of going through a bit of a stage at the moment where, well, I know I am, where I just want to jam. I miss the giggling and laughing and hanging shit on each other while we're coming up with stuff.
Yeah.
And then the joy of having a product that's finished, almost finished, and we're like, right, now we can road test this, and it brings new life into your set, new life into your...
Can you imagine these bands that have got like hit after hit after hit, and
Yeah.
when they go and tour, people aren't necessarily interested in the 12
And
tracks you've got on the new album.
Yeah,
They want to
so
hear the
that's
ones that you put
And-
out
and you-
20
and you
years
do-
ago. You'd be
Yeah.
thinking,
And you
"Oh."
do have to play those hits because you
That's what-
created them,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's what people want to hear.
And you,
So-
We don't have that problem yet, but hopefully we'll have that one
But
day.
That'd be a nice problem, yeah.
Them songs have made them people
Yeah,
successful.
exactly,
So
yeah.
you
And it's
know,
not so-
you're sort of almost obliged
Yeah,
to
it's
play
like
them
Lenny
even
said.
if you're fed up at playing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Like I've read it, we all, Lenny said many times, he's been quoted as saying it, Ace of Spades. He got to the point where he hated playing that song because he played it so many times,
Yeah.
but he said, I'll never stop playing it
No.
because the fans love that song, and if it wasn't for the fans, I would not be in this job that I love.
That's right,
So
yeah.
I'll always play it for the
Yeah,
fans because it's what they want.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at Rebellion, that sudden realisation from my point of view, where I'm looking out, I'm going, holy shit, these people know the lyrics and they're singing the
singing
lyrics.
Yeah.
This is
It's unheard of.
really
It's a
odd.
bit surreal,
Really
right?
odd.
It's a weird feeling, that.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the most amazing experiences in your life. And the thing is, people look at festivals, and a festival generally, like there's people that go to watch a band or multiple bands. The thing with Rebellion, you got 7 stages that work at the same time.
Yeah.
So when they go to your stage to watch you play, they're there to see you.
Yeah.
They're not waiting for the next band.
They've
chosen to come and see you.
Yeah.
But that
So
whole-
that's really flattering to know that
yeah.
we would never have in a million years thought, like when we knew we were playing to a room that had the capacity of 1,000, we thought, if we get 500, this would be a great result.
Yeah.
But to pack it out, you kind of go, wow, this, this is a moment that you just got to, savour for the rest of your life.
But even the night before the festival, the night before, the Fringe Festival, obviously, all the pubs in Blackpool have got stuff going on.
Yeah.
The Wednesday night before the festival is a huge night in Blackpool.
Yeah.
Everyone's arriving, everyone's pumped, they haven't seen any bands yet. So there's a few bands on in pubs. We played the Scream and Shake. We played with Rust, Combi Killers, awesome bands. Now, this venue, it's smaller than this room we're in now.
Yeah, well, it would be.
It's about 3/4 of the width and probably about the same length.
Yeah.
Now, the equipment, and nothing against the venue, but the equipment there is pretty old and ropey. You're playing on sort of a tiny little stage, it's about as big as this couch.
Well,
there's a window behind
the
it.
stage only fit the drum kit.
Yeah, that's it.
That was it.
And the venue's absolutely packed to capacity
And
with 100 people
It
in
was
there.
hot.
Yeah.
Like hot.
Now I remember playing on there, there's a
Sweaty
glass
gooses.
window behind, and as I'm playing, I sort of looked around between the set, and there's 200 people out in the street dancing to our set that couldn't get into the venue.
Yeah.
And again, it's the buzz like that, the whole Blackpool, the whole town comes alive.
Yeah.
It really is a buzz.
I have that love-hate because I absolutely hated it, the duress and but it was that you're being forced to do something that's like, I need to get through this as fast as I fucking can so I can get the hell out into
But
fresh
the energy
air.
in the room.
Oh my
but you're
God.
playing like this.
But don't you
awesome.
control the quickness of the songs?
Yeah.
Isn't that-
I think he wanted to get out too because I was like, yep, I like this pace.
Yeah, let's go.
I think we had a 50-minute set that night too.
Yeah, we
Yeah, it was
Because
good,
it was
yeah.
an all day, all night sort of thing.
Yeah.
And and that it was probably playing because it was humid as hell in that room, and it was hot outside. So
Yeah.
it was
And you had everybody
recipe-
spilling drinks because you couldn't move in there, so the floor was just slippery. And on stage, I was trying to find locations to stand without
No.
sliding off.
Even though Rebellion
great.
was like the most amazing experience, Scream and Shake was that one that you remember.
Yeah.
Well,
As well.
they're a different experience. aren't
Different,
they?
yeah.
They're different.
Different, both good.
Every gig is
And I think-
different for you
I
as
think-
musicians and
All new bands need to go through those challenges because it really does make you better as a band.
Oh, it does, makes you tired for sure.
Yeah.
If
But
can
you
play on-
are
You see,
precious, aren't you?
Well,
Have you been
do you know
told?
what? I'd rather
Tonight.
go to a spit and sawdust pub
Yeah,
and be up close and personal
always.
than being in a big fucking theatre or something that you can't. You're all standing around. Whereas when they're full and they're small and you're crowded in,
Yeah.
That's a
it's
gig.
a good gig.
Yeah, the intimacy.
That's what I
Or
enjoy.
you're in a stadium and you're watching it on a screen because the
Well,
band are too
probably-
small to
probably
appreciate.
watching telly because
Yeah,
they look
exactly.
about that big,
Yeah.
don't they? And you think, is that really them?
Yeah.
You know?
That's what I like about when bands like GBH and Test Tube Babies come out to Australia.
Yeah, they're great.
We're so lucky in that respect because we get to see them in small venues and you get that intimate feeling, and it's different. Like you go over to and see them on the bigger stages, it's still great, but you lose that feel. You lose that intimate feeling. And
One of my number one things from being a kid was watching a video cassette
Porn.
that
That's a given. That's a given. But video cassette and napalm.
But you still got the Betamax collection.
Yeah, I do still have a few Betamax. Go fuck yourself. There's nothing wrong with the Madam's family. Anyway,
You like the beat?
VH. Oh, says the biggest wanker in the band.
You love me.
Don't fucking touch me. Fucking hell.
Back on track, Benny.
VHS cassette, Napalm Death, small club, and you're watching it, and everything's so packed, and in between each song, the crowd's going, "You fat bastard! You fat still now, every time somebody yells something out, it's sort of like, oh, they know us. They know the characters, they know the vibe, and I like that interaction. And the bigger the place is, it's hard to get that sort of interaction.
No, you're right. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And it's harder for our big bridge-dwelling Shrek here to get off stage and menace people with
Ogre,
this.
thank you, not Shrek. Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, when we were at the Cranko, we did a selfie, didn't we? And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
fucking hell, like,
He's a fucking big unit, isn't he?
what's that waving at me with your nose? Yeah, he is.
Someone in the water in Broken Hill.
Yeah.
Lead.
Yeah, let's not what
I
it
used
is.
to eat that shit when I was a kid.
Asking from the gold mine.
Well, mate, yeah.
Licking lead-painted walls.
No, well, yeah, a little bit.
Okay, right. Well, I was going to ask you what bands influenced you and what have you and that, but
Start.
yeah,
What bands influenced? Alright,
just intrigued to see where the music comes from.
I grew up with a diverse background. I was born in '69, so 77 when the punk revolution hit, I was 8 years old. I was probably a little bit young for it. I was into me ska,
Yeah.
Madness, Bad Manners, the Specials, the Beat, and all those bands. Loved all that sort of rude boy stuff.
Yeah.
But then as I got older, I sort of progressed and started listening to the earlier punk, and then all the 80s punk and stuff like that. Always loved me metal. So for me, it's always been a fusion of sort of ska, metal, and punk, and that's me.
Yeah, cool.
Yep, pub rock bands. So
We've got a real diverse.
It's what might be different as well because you're from an English background.
English, UK background, yeah.
So, yeah.
So yeah, for me, it's all the pub rock bands of the late 70s, early 80s. Angels, Rose Tattoo, Skyhooks, all that kind of stuff. Cold Chisel. But the real changer for me was finding Black Sabbath, and then I went down that path of extreme hard rock bands, so Thin Lizzy, but I like Jethro Tull, and I like Led Zeppelin, and I like Uriah Heep, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then by the time I got into my early teens, it was just grindcore, death metal, thrash metal, but in amongst all of that, I had one uncle, and he was. Used to play Sex Pistols all the time, and The Damned, and New York Dolls, and a lot of the early 80s stuff like Duran Duran, and so that's where my limited punk knowledge is from the English side is from that. But being into the metal stuff, I got right into hardcore, so Minor Threat and all that kind of stuff, which it always surprises me when I hear people say, oh, I hate that American shit. It's like,
So what do you think made, when you first started jamming and you got together and first started, how did the dynamics of it work that it pushed you in this direction sort of thing? Was it a natural thing? Or
Probably my abilities.
well, no,
haven't touched my
no,
bass in 20 years.
So the
Not
three of
really
us,
from these two
abilities,
yet,
it's like, all right, Al can play that, Shane can play that. I thank fuck I don't have to do anything flashy here. I can just play good rock beats and riffs, and it just sort of comes together. But because unfortunately I am a metalhead, I can't let go of the chug.
Yeah,
so when you hear squeals and stuff in our music, that's.
But at the end of the day, when
I
you
can
talk
get
about,
over it, live
you
with
talk
it.
about metal and punk, I
It's
mean,
you wanking off. Yeah.
but punk, four-piece music, metal, four-piece music. What's the difference? Probably what they're singing about.
Yeah.
And the difference in the guitar riffs. But the beats are all...
Let's be
So
honest,
similar.
they share more in common
Of course
than
they
we
do.
like to.
Yeah,
Of course they do.
They do. Yeah.
Okay. Music
Yeah.
influences.
The first ever album was the Clash.
Culture Club.
Clash's debut, self-titled album. Fuck you.
Bodie M's on his playlist.
You had your time. Actually,
Shut up.
Ben had way too much fucking time.
Ben, shut up, Al, shut up, Shane.
No, look, it just your late 70s punk. So look,
Yeah.
cut me teeth on that. One of our good friends who lived down the lane from Moon, the co-writer of Wangsock, his older sister was into the Pistols, the Clash, Killing Joke, and Andy Noe League. So and Stiff Little Fingers. So we used to send Tim up the road. Tim would come back with his sister's albums, and that's where it all kind of spawned from. But my major influence, and a lot of people say it, they go, we can really hear that Andy Noe League kind of sound with you, and more so from the lyrics, maybe not the music, but from the lyrics. And it's not a deliberate thing, but that's I love Hung Like Hang Ratty, I love Andy Noe League, Cock Sparrow. I like to see people sing along, and I suppose when I write the songs, that's where that kind of music comes from.
Cool.
Yeah. I grew up with a steady diet of AC/DC, Rose Tattoo, and Midnight Oil, and then when I was getting older, I was listening to a lot of Australian bands that I could go see, like the Hard-Ons, the Meanies, the Cosmic Psychos. I also listen to a lot of Ramones and Motorhead as well. So they're my main ones. Black Flag as well. Dead Kennedys, Minor Threat.
Yeah, cool. Good. All right.
Keen for tonight, Daz?
Yeah, I'm keen as well. So we're going to be filming the boys tonight. So the interview, you'll watch the interview before you see the live footage. So I'm sure they'll put on a good show for you tonight, and we're looking forward to filming. So thanks for coming on, guys.
Thanks for your time, Daz.
Wish you all the success in the future, and look forward to that next album, and
cheers, mate.
Seeing how well you get back in the UK again.
Awesome, thanks, mate.
We really appreciate your time, Daz.
It's all good.
And thank you to everybody out there.
I was just going to say thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll catch you all soon.
Thanks, Mum.
Cheers.